right, here in our In Focus section, we're going to practice with the simple past and the past continuous. Now, when we use the past continuous, we're almost always interrupting. We're talking about an action that is happening in the past. And usually when it appears in such a way that we are talking about a moment that interrupts it. For example, I was talking on the phone when David came in, right? I was doing my homework when the phone rang. So we have the phone ringing in the past, the phone rang, simple past, a moment, something momentary, puntual, that interrupts or occurs during an action in the past, okay? Let's practice with some sentences of translation. I'll say them in Spanish and you say them in English, all right? Okay, here we go. ¿Qué pasó cuando venías aquí? What happened when you were coming here? Cuando venías. What happened when you were coming here? Le vi cuando iba a clase. I saw him when he was going to class. Claro que le vi. I saw him when he was going to class. We could also say while he was going to class. Mientras, while he was going to class. ¿Qué hacías tú cuando les viste? What were you doing when you saw them? Now make sure you're saying these out loud, right? What were you doing when you saw them? Say it out loud. All right, good job. What were you doing when you saw them? ¿A dónde ibas cuando tuviste el accidente? Where were you going when you had the accident? The accident. Where were you going when you had the accident? ¿Dónde estaba él cuando se enteró del accidente? Where was he when he learned about the accident? Enterarse. Well, to learn, you could also say when he found out. To find out, enterarse. To find out, which can be passive, right? I'm sitting in there and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I found out. I heard the news. I found out. So where was he when he learned about the accident or when he found out about the accident? ¿Qué hacías cuando oíste la noticia? What were you doing when you heard the news? ¿Qué hacías cuando oíste la noticia? What were you doing when you heard? Cuando oíste. So this part, it's simple past, right? Cuando oíste, when you heard the news. ¿Qué hacías? Que es como decir, ¿qué estabas haciendo? What were you doing when you heard the news? Él bajaba de su coche cuando la bomba estalló. Bajaba del coche. Yeah, he was getting out of the car, saliendo del coche. He was getting out of the car cuando estalló la bomba. When the bomb went off. So we have the phrasal verb to go off, like to explode. So a bomb can go off, an alarm can go off. Like every morning, el despertador suena. It goes off every morning. It sounds, but we don't say it sounds, we say it goes off. Okay? Or an alarm, a security alarm can go off. The alarm's going off at the bank. Está sonando. It's going off. Okay? But a bomb, also to explode, as in to detonate. It goes off. It blows up, but when we talk about that moment of detonation, we use the phrasal verb to go off. Okay? So he was getting out of his car. Bajaba de su coche. Fíjate, decimos entrar en el coche to get into. Y luego bajar del coche to get out of. Get into the car, get out of the car. Pero el autobús, get on the bus, get off the bus. Get into the car, get out of the car. Get into the taxi, get out of the taxi. Get on the train, get off the train. Get on the plane, get off the plane. So if you get on something, subir, entrar, pero más bien como subir, anything you get on, later you have to get off. Hay que bajar. Similarly, anything you get into, later you get out of. So these phrasal verbs, you can accelerate your mastery by thinking of the opposites of each phrasal verb. The opposite, okay? In, out, on, off. But the difference here relates to something being private, small, enclosed. In those cases, we typically use into. Get into the car, get into the taxi, get into, entrando en algo más pequeño, más privado. Whereas you get on public transportation, mass transportation, things that are bigger or higher. Get on a plane, get on a train. But you physically get on a motorcycle or a bicycle because you're physically on top of it. So there are some exceptions, and it's worth studying case by case to really master this idea. Get on, get off, get in, get out, okay? So here he was getting out of his car when the bomb went off. Iba al cine cuando me encontré con Morgan. I was going to the movies when I ran into Morgan. To run into, como tropezar con alguien, ¿no? Encontrarse con alguien. To run into someone. I was going to the movies, al cine. I was going to the cinema. But I prefer the movies. When I ran into Morgan. Hey, Morgan! How you doing? Yeah. Pensaba en ti cuando me llamaste. Yes. I was thinking about you when you called me. Cuando me llamaste. Claro, pensaba en ti. I was thinking about you when you called me. Mm-hmm. ¿Qué hacías anoche cuando te llamé? What were you doing last night when I called you? Cuando te llamé. ¿Qué hacías anoche? What were you doing last night when I called you? Uh-huh. ¿Qué hacía tu mujer cuando llegaste a casa? What was your wife doing last night? Bueno, last night, no sé. Pero cuando llegaste a casa. What was your wife doing when you got home? To get home. Llegar a casa, to get home. You can say when you got to your house, but here, a tu hogar, no tu casa en ese sentido. What was your wife doing when you got home? Cuando llegaste a casa. Uh-huh. Cuando les vi estaban entrando en un restaurante. When I saw them, they were going into a restaurant. Yeah. When I saw them, cuando yo les vi, estaban entrando en un restaurante. They were going into a restaurant. Notice I say going into because I assume I'm not in the restaurant, and neither are you, evidently. So go, remember you go there, come here. Go there, come here. They were going into a restaurant. Now if we're inside, oh look, they're coming into the restaurant. Están entrando. Depends on your point of view, right? Coming in from the point of view, el punto de vista de alguien que ya está dentro. Coming in. Going in, si estamos fuera mirando, y están entrando en el restaurante, mira. They're going into the restaurant. Okay? So yeah, when I saw them, they were going into a restaurant. Okay? Todo iba bien hasta que tú viniste. Everything was going well until you came. Vaya. Everything was going well until you came. Uh-huh. Lo encontré cuando estaba limpiando la cocina. I found it when I was cleaning the kitchen. I could also say while, mientras. When I was cleaning or while, mientras limpiaba. Mientras estaba limpiando, ¿no? La cocina. I found it while I was cleaning the kitchen. Yes. Lo perdí cuando cambiaba la rueda. I lost it while I was changing la rueda? The tire. And I hope you might say, oh, the wheel. But normally we say the tire, we're talking about literally the neumático, the tire, right? So we say that in English more often than, usually in Spanish you say the wheel, but you're probably just referring to the rubber part, usually. Like you get a flat tire. You've lost the air. You get a flat tire. In Spanish you'd say, usually wheel for that, rueda, no? But in English we would say neumático, tire. So yes, I lost it while I was changing the tire. All right. Anyway, I think we've practiced quite a bit here with present, with the simple past and the past continuous, kind of looking at how we can compare these structures, these different structures and different ways of speaking in the past.